Okay, so in this video, I want to go over the preface to the rules. Okay, that way we can get a good understanding of what the main objective is in a three keys trade. Okay, now, as I mentioned before in previous videos, originally we applied the three keys methodology to yearly pivots, but because of the lack of frequency of trades, being that trades were few and far between, we decided to apply that same three keys methodology to monthly pivots in order to increase the frequency of trades. We then added a few slight adjustments to increase the accuracy, which then decreased the frequency. So we applied that same three keys methodology to weekly pivots in order to increase the frequency of trades. We then added a few more slight adjustments to increase the accuracy, which decreased the frequency a little bit. And then we ended up with the final version of the three key system, which is a system that has a very, very high accuracy, where you can expect anywhere from 2 to 6 trades per week, which is a satisfactory frequency for swing trading. As far as day trading, it may not be as high frequency as day trading, but the fact that the trades taken with the three key system are very, very accurate, that compensates for the lack in frequency. And what also compensates for the lack in frequency is the large reward to risk ratio with each trade. Each trade has an immense profit potential. Okay. Not every single trade predicts large market swings, but many of these trades do predict large market swings. So that more than compensates for the lack in frequency. Okay. So this is a trade that I took on CAD Swiss. Okay. And I want to sort of go over the main objective of each three keys trade here. Okay. So I have written here, we use weekly pivots as the market's main interpretations of market structure. Okay. So weekly pivots are the main interpretations of market structure. That's what we use. All right. We use the weekly R and S pivot levels as the main targets, and we use lower time frame pivots to discern that the market interprets these weekly R and S pivots as reversal targets, and how that interpretation forms the market's perception of value. Okay. So what does that mean? Let me illustrate this. This right here is the weekly S1, and this level right here is the weekly S2. Okay. Price comes down and hits the weekly S2. This weekly S2 is the main target. This weekly S2 serves as the main target. Okay. Now, the market can interpret the weekly S2 target in different ways. The market can interpret the weekly S2 target as a level to break below and continue to drop further, or the market can interpret this weekly S2 level as a level where price will bounce up from and reverse and move to the upside. Okay. So in essence, the market can either interpret this weekly S2 level as a level that should be broken and price will continue to go further down, or the market will interpret this weekly S2 level as a reversal target that will push price back up. Okay. So how do we discern how the market is interpreting the weekly S2? Okay. We do so by using how the market is interpreting the H4 pivot levels. So we're using how the market is interpreting the H4 pivot levels to discern how the market is interpreting the weekly S2 level. Okay? So it all comes down to the interpretations that form the market's sentiment, which then forms the market's perception of value. That core essence of auction theory, which is the core progression, which is interpretations, form the market sentiment, which forms the perception of value. Okay? We then trade in the direction of that perception of value. So we'll trade in that direction. Trade should have been taken right here, and we trade in that direction. Okay? Trades are taken when price has reached weekly targets, but has not reached or has not gone far beyond H4R1 or H4S1 pivot targets. With this, we can discern how the market is interpreting the pivots, thereby predicting turning points in the market. Okay, so let's explain that. Trades are taken when price has reached weekly targets. So price reaches this weekly target, which is the weekly S2. Okay, so it hits it. All right. But the market has not reached the H4S1 pivot target, which is over here. Okay. So why has the market not reached the H4S1 pivot target? In the previous H4 period, you see that price reached the H4S1 and broke below it, and then hit the H4S2, broke below it, and then hit the, seems like it hits the H4S3. So if you see this momentum, you can see that this is a very strong extra strength downtrend. If the extra strength downtrend is to continue with its momentum, then in the next H4 period, we should have price reach the H4 S1 and go further beyond that, further below that, and hit the H4 S2 and the H4 S3. But the market failed to even reach the H4 S1. Why? It's because the market is not interpreting the H4 S1 as a target. The market is not interpreting the H4 S1 as value. The market is perceiving value to be a price at higher prices, and they are not perceiving value to be a price at lower prices, which is where the H4 S1 target is. So now we're getting into the mindset. We're getting to the psychology of the markets. And we want to ask, why did the market not reach the H4S1? Why does the market perceive value to be a price at higher prices and not this H4S1 level? Why does the market not interpret the H4S1 level as value, as a target? It's because the market is interpreting this weekly S2 level as a bullish reversal level, a level from which price will bounce up and move up. And that caused their perception value to be a price at higher prices, which is why the market did not reach the H4S1. Okay? So we're taking advantage of that discernment, and we're trading in the direction of value. That is the main objective of each and every Three Keys trade. Okay? And it would be the opposite for shorts.